Hey guys, Tim Lerch here. I'm going to do a little lesson on walking bass lines today in the context of maybe accompanying a singer or another instrumentalist or something. And so I'm going to play a song called Sweet Lorraine in the key of F. And here it goes. Let's just play it through it, and then I'll talk through each one of the moves, and we'll have a lot of fun with this. I just found joy, and I'm as happy as a baby boy who has found a brand new choo-choo toy. Since I met my sweet Lorraine, she's got a pair of eyes that are bluer than the summer skies. If you see them, you are bound to realize why I love my sweet Lorraine. 'Cause when it's raining, I don't miss the sun, 'cause it's in my baby's smile. I can't believe that I'm the lucky one who will lead her down the aisle. And each night I pray that nobody steals her heart away. I can't wait until that lucky day when I marry sweet Lorraine. Okay, so I did a few things accompanying myself during that song. This song's in the key of F, and I have a chart here that I'm going to provide you with that has the basic chord changes on it. And the basic chord changes aren't so basic. I try when I'm playing this style at this tempo to have at least 2 chords per measure, and oftentimes 3, and even in a couple of cases 4 chords per measure, to really help me with this bass line that's coming. The downside of having so many chords written on a chart, for instance, is that you tend to play the same passageway through the changes each time. So eventually you want to have just 2 chords per measure, and then weave your way through in different ways. Now, when I say 2 chords per measure, sometimes the composer wrote in 2 chords per measure, like, for instance, in this case of Sweet Lorraine. The basic changes are 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 4, 3, 6, 2, dominant, and then 2, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5. And that's enough information. In fact, it's preferable for doing the kind of 2-feel style. So I'm going to talk about 2 different kinds of bass lines for a swing type tune at a medium tempo. One is like I was playing in the opening, which is kind of a walking bass line. And there are a couple of places where I didn't walk on every quarter, but generally speaking, I was walking on the quarter note. And the other way is to play in a 2-feel. And there's a couple of different ways to call this. Some people call it cut time or half time, or I just call it 2-feel because it feels like it's 1, ka-2, ka-1, ka-2, something like that. And it would sound like, I just found joy, and I'm as happy as a baby boy who has found a brand new choo-choo toy. Since I met my sweet Lorraine, she's got a pair, like that. So she's got a pair, that's good news. Actually, she's got a pair of eyes. It's an old song, come on guys. So the way I'm doing that is I'm basically playing basic shapes. then I'm connecting the dots with these approaches from 1 half step above or below, and also from two steps or half steps, excuse me, above and below, like this. Above, 2 above, half step above, up above from below. There we go. And then I'm just hitting the root twice on these guys. Where'd it go? From D7. That was from D7 down to G7. So that's approach from 2 half steps above. And then approaching C from two half steps above. So that would be like this. That was from 2 below, from 2 above, half step below. So if you've got a pretty loose sense of what will work, either 1 half step above or below, or 2 half steps above or 2 half steps below, playing both of the notes, ta ta ta. So 1 t t ding, ta ti ding, ta ta ta, and that's putting it on every one of them. You can't do it on every one because it starts to sound boring or predictable. But if you have those 4 possibilities, oh, actually there's 5 possibilities, which is not to approach it from anywhere. So we have just. That sounds a little bit like, an old doo-wop song, right? So everybody's clear about the chords. I will write these down for you. I'm not going to transcribe every note I play in this, but I'll put in some basic information so you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully watching the video and using your ear will be helpful as well. That's playing in 2, and it's relatively easy to parlay that into playing 4 to the bar in your sort of conventional walking bass line by connecting those notes in a more steady time frame, and adding a few extra chromatic passing chords, which I have written up for you now. So I'm going to play what's on this chart without any emphasis on the bass, so you can hear what I'm starting with. So we have F major 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, F major 7. I'm gonna start over again because I left out a chord. So F6, E flat 7, D, G minor 7, C, D flat diminished, D minor, D flat 7, C minor, F7, B7 sharp 11, A7 sharp 5, D7, G7, G minor, C7, A minor 7, D7, G minor to C. Now, otherwise known as 1, flat 7, 6, 2, 5, flat 6 diminished, through 6, flat 6. Oh, it goes quick. 6, flat 6, 5 minor, 1 dominant, 4, 3 dominant, 6 dominant, 2 dominant, 2, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5. Now the one bar that went, or any kind of B flat, the melody is that sharp 11. So if I'm singing the melody, I'll play that. Okay. So what you're doing is you're really just wanting to connect these chords, and when you've got 2 chords per bar, you can approach either chord by a half step from above or below, or even 2 half steps above and below, if you want to play a triplet, da-da-da. And then you can get this kind of walking bass line. So I'm going to play it really slowly with the full walking bass line and see if you can grab some of it. Mostly when you look at the chart and you look at my hands, you'll see that I'm just playing pretty much what's on the chart with these connection notes. I'll point them out when I get to them. Here's a connector. Here's a connector. That's a diminished chord on the chart. Then there's no connectors here because it's all written down. These, I just let them sit. There's a connector. Connector from above. That was from below, from above, and above. I'm going to go to F down here. One over 3, 4, sharp 4 diminished, 1 over 5. I'm going to show you that little turnaround there because it's really worthwhile. One of the other things that you can do, excuse me, one of the other things that you can do besides just populating the chord progression with these half steps is to use inversions to go through the chord tones in the bass, and that's a good sound as well. For a tune like this, I like the half step movement a lot, but after a little while of that, you want something a little different. So it's a good idea to use inversions as well. So for instance, in the second ending, we've got 2 beats of F, B flat 7, B diminished, F over C, then a 2/5 of the 4 chord going to the bridge. So one thing that sounds really good is to play F6 or F major 7 or any kind of F, a first inversion F triad, then a B flat 6, then a B diminished, then an F with C in the bass. I just play an F triad with C in the bass. And then heading to the bridge, which is a B flat chord. Okay, now let me put that together a little bit more. I just found joy. I'm as happy as a baby boy who has found a brand new choo-choo toy. Since I met my sweet Lorraine, she's got a pair of eyes that are bluer than the summer skies. If you see them, you are bound to realize why I love my sweet Lorraine. Now when I get to the bridge, typically I like to go back to a kind of 2 feel because it helps the song not feel rushy or like it's racing too much. This feeling of going back and forth between 4 and 2 can be very handy, especially for this medium tempo song. We're not playing bebop here, you know, we're playing a nice kind of sweet medium tempo tune. So bridge has its own set of challenges. It still has 2 chords per bar for the most part. There are a couple of places in here where there are 4 chords per bar. So when we say the first bar is actually a little challenging, or that's what we'll do. So we'll say B flat and then approach D from a half step, G from a half step, and then down chromatically to E flat, hit it twice, D, half step, this, then hit it twice, hit it twice. This sort of section just wants you to hit it twice, and then do it again. So let me talk a little bit about some of these isolated movements. In the first bar, there's an F followed by an E flat 7 heading toward D, which is really just an approach from above on the D7. We don't really have to think about, well, hold on a second. What is the E flat 7 in relationship to the F? It really is just setting up the D. You could think of it as a quick little A7 type chord, which is 5 of D. You could think about it like that. It would be a flat 5 sub of 5 of D, which is a mouthful. Or you could think of it as something along the order of F sharp diminished, which is really kind of an F7th chord. F7th on the cycle of minor thirds, you get F7, A flat 7, B7, and then D7 type chord there. Yeah, that was right. Yeah, and so we're just approaching that D7. I mean, in some charts that I've seen, the second chord in the song is F sharp diminished. I just found joy. So the E flat 7 is really just a passing tone or a movement toward D. It's really more associated with the D than it is with the F. So we have 1, flat 7, 6. And then I've been putting in an A flat chord, which is a flat 5 sub of D7, and then either G minor or G7, either one, and then D flat 7, which is a flat 5 sub of G, and then C7, then the diminished chord, which leads to D minor. And D flat diminished or C sharp diminished is really like A7 flat 9. It's another name for it. And it's 5 of our destination. So we've approached the D minor from a half step below diminished, which is another important thing to take away from this lesson, is that if you ever need to fill things in baseline wise, approaching a chord from a half step below on a diminished chord works very nicely. You could use a dominant 7th chord or diminished chord, or even a minor 7th chord if the ear likes that effect. It's really about the pull of the chord up a half step. So the first couple of bars we have then right back, and then we've got 4 chords written on the chart. So how do we get from B flat to B flat 7 to A7? Sometimes I just hit the bass note twice, and then I can move to a half step into D. Sometimes, though, I might say, what I just did was play the root, the 3rd, and then the flatted 5th, which is in the chord, or sharp 11, and then A7 there. A lot of different ways to go. Really what we want to do is we want to hear a bass line that sounds good to our ear, that is harmonically feasible or clear, and also does this sort of gravitational pull toward our temporary destinations along the way. So content-wise, I'm going to write up a few of these chord grid charts with some possibilities. And then now I'm going to talk about a few different options for approach. Not approach from above or below, but just how we approach this thing. This particular one, I was playing a lot of chords. That was 1 chord per beat, basically, like a lot of the Ted Green arrangements that I've done. Ain't Misbehavin' is one of them, a couple of the blues ones, where you really have this sort of walking chord style. That's one way to go. Another way to go is just to play a nice bass line. And then once you get that, you can do these little snare drum hits. Sometimes they're just dead notes. Sometimes they're little parts of the chord. One mistake that I hear a lot of guys making, or at least I consider it a mistake, it's kind of a step along the way actually, but you can't stop there because it starts to become really somewhat stilted, is to play a kind of rhythm like this. It's all kind of the same. You're putting the little chord is very short and it's right in the same spot every time. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2. That's a good start, but we really don't want to hear that for very long, in my opinion. So you want to be able to do a couple of things. You want to be able to hold a chord, hit it on the 1. That's also boring if we do too much of it, but if we take those two things and combine them in a little with a little bit of variety, we can say okay. It's really about controlling where you put the right hand. Another thing that we want to control is the length of the right hand, of the what I'm calling the right hand. It's really the top part of the chord. I say right hand because I'm thinking of piano. It's the notes we play with our right hand fingers, you know. So we want to let those notes ring and to get a smooth effect. So the first thing that's probably going to happen if you're new to this is it's going to sound a little bit like this. And I'm not making fun of it. I'm just trying to describe it. Everything will be really short. Now, that's a pretty good accomplishment. But it is a little bit wanting for smooth. Like you want to think of like a bass, like an upright player going really long, you know, pushing those notes are kind of, they're not plunk, plunk, plunk. They're tune, 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 tune. That's my idea anyway. The other way might be appealing to you, but I really like this sort of long kind of Ron Carter style bass line. And the way we do that is we try and get everything to last a long time. So we want to go. Right? So what I'm doing there is sometimes I'm only holding 1 or 2 notes in the chord portion to give the illusion of sustaining the whole chord. So I might say, now I'm just holding those, or maybe I'll do this, right? So if I say right there, I'm holding these 2 notes, and then moving my bass line. And then I'm holding those 2 notes while I move to that bass line. Okay? Takes a little bit of practice. Hopefully by watching me and listening closely, you'll get a sense of this sort of long tone, smooth style. I know that when I am accompanying a singer or another instrumentalist in this style, they always really appreciate it because it's not choppy or chunky. It's a smooth feeling. It's not obtrusive, even though it's got a lot of content in it, because it's really pulsing nicely on the quarter note. And especially if I'm going back and forth between 2 and 4 to identify where the verses and the choruses are, those kinds of things. When I'm playing with another guitar player, oftentimes the comping that I'm getting from him or her is leaves a little bit to be desired. So I know that this is something that we guitar players want to work on, because we want to be good accompanists and we want to be able to play a nice, really smooth swinging style. So to recap, we've got our content, which is basically connecting 2 chords per measure by half step or 2 half steps. That kind of thing. There's a lot more to this. I think I'm going to have to do a second installment, because there's a whole bunch of other things that I'm realizing now that I could talk about. So look for walking bass or bass lines part 2. But for now, I'm going to just let you go ahead and poke away at this thing. Take a look at this chart. Take a look at the window box chart that I am supplying you with, and have a good go at this style. For now, thanks very much for your interest in my lessons. And if you're seeing this lesson on YouTube, for instance, it would be very helpful for you, for me, if you would make a donation at my website. There's a little donation button right there, and you can leave me a little note telling me what it's for. And if you're seeing this on the early release, you already made your donation, and thank you very much for doing so. And please let me know what you want to see in future lessons. Okay, take care. I just found joy. I'm as happy as a baby boy who has found a brand new choo-choo toy. Since I met my sweet Lorraine, she's got a pair of eyes that are bluer than the summer skies. If you see them, you are bound to realize why I love my sweet Lorraine. When it's raining, I don't miss the sun, 'cause it's in my baby's smile. I can't believe that I'm the lucky one who will lead her down the aisle. And each night I pray that nobody steals her heart away.